Breaking news, a phone found along a Utah County trail leads to the search for a woman who was hiking.
Oh my heck. Well, I'm gonna get out of here.
Plus, developing tonight after a fire in Washington County forced evacuations and left people trapped. What we know about how it started and the fight to control it.
Showers and thunderstorms, some with lightning and also heavy rain, have been popping up around the state. We'll have a look at the latest radar coming up.
Water is the most beautiful thing, but it's also the most dangerous thing.
And as the heat wave continues to melt the snowpack, a reminder, one man knows the dangers of rivers and creeks all too well. Good evening, I'm Allison Krogan. Bob and Kelly have the night off. We begin Fox 13 News at 9 with breaking news in Utah County. A search is underway for a woman that was near the Dry Creek Canyon trailhead above Alpine. The Utah County Sheriff's Office says a group of hikers along the Horsetail Falls Trail, which you can access through the Dry Creek Canyon trailhead, found a woman's phone. Here's a live look right now at the scene. They say a video on the phone showed a young woman hiking there in the river, but they can't find that woman.
The helicopters were going back and forth. From where the trailhead starts to go up the falls is about a 2-mile hike. And so it's faster for us to get the search and rescue up there by helicopter and also their gear.
When you get weather like this and you get the snowfall and you get hot weather, it comes down and it doesn't mess around and it's dangerous. The majority of the year it's really peaceful, quiet, and just a stream kind of a sound. But when you get runoff like this, it's dangerous.
Officials are saying the water is moving fast, the levels have risen, and the temperatures are around 30 to 40 degrees. They say unless the weather gets bad, they will be continuing the search. We'll continue to update you on air and also online at fox13now.com. Meantime, we continue to track this developing news in southern Utah. One of the first wildfires of the season is currently burning near Zion National Park. The Rockville fire has grown to 30 acres. It prompted evacuations earlier today, but those evacuation orders have been lifted and forward progression has been stopped. Utah's Weather Authority has team coverage tonight for you. Meteorologist Dan Pope is tracking the conditions in southern Utah in real time. But first, Kelly Wickens, a prevention specialist with the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire and State Lands, joins us live with an update. So let's go ahead and get started with the latest information. Kelly, are there any top headlines that you want community members or visitors to know about right now?
Right now, the last report is an estimated 30 acres. SR9 was temporarily closed and is now open to traffic. They did have a pilot car directing traffic through the area, but if you can just avoid the area, we have firefighters working and their safety is our primary concern.
On that, Kelly, is this fire is burning in an area with excessive heat warnings. So how does that impact the first responders and the fight to control this fire?
You know, with the hot, dry conditions, the fuels are more receptive to burning. It's hot, so firefighters, you know, they're working hard, and then with the heat, it makes it that much harder for them.
Absolutely, and tomorrow we've got another hot day ahead of us. Do you have any idea of what's to come tonight or into tomorrow for this fire?
Currently, we called it the forward progression of the fire is stopped. So that means it's not growing in acreage. The crews will continue to work the fire overnight, getting line around it and containment on the fire.
One last quick question for you, Kelly. How are you thinking this fire season's going so far for us here in Utah?
Well, it's getting hotter and drier, and we're starting to see fire activity increasing across the area. We do have, from the last 2 wonderful winters with a lot of moisture, we do have lots of fine fuels that have grown. And as it gets hotter and drier, those fuels will become more receptive to wildfire.
Kelly Wickens with Utah Forestry, Fire and State Lands, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
And right now we continue our team coverage on Fox 13 News with reporter Maithili Gubi. She spoke with the residents who saw the fire, and they want to help paint a bigger picture of how this all developed.
It was an unusual day in Rockville, which is where Jacob Anderson lives.
The power's out right now, as you can see behind us. So the power's out in the whole town, actually the whole area.
That was the case earlier Friday because of the Rockville wildfire that his family could see from their home.
The fire department comes and they're trying to put it out, but there's really no good fire hydrants there. There's no good connections. And so I'm a member of the irrigation ditch board, and I told them, let's just turn on the flood irrigation. Let's get it going. And so they were using the flood irrigation to fill their fire trucks. And then their fire trucks got stuck because we were flooding around them. And so, yeah, it was nuts.
Jacob was initially told he had to evacuate and helped his brother-in-law move their animals. He tells us it was a hot day, which made the burning scary.
It looked like it was going, for a while there, it was going out of control. We wondered where all the big fire trucks were. We didn't see any planes yet or helicopters. And eventually, those finally did come, and they made a big difference. But at first, when it was spreading the most, yeah, it was just, some devout firefighters with shovels doing their best to kind of keep it under control.
Jacob's son Riker and nephew Gage were at the swimming hole nearby when they smelled smoke.
There was tons of black smoke and it was going everywhere. And so we were like, okay, what's going on? So we went back up there and tons of brush had caught fire. Some of the trees were on.
The boys say they called 911 explaining what they saw and where the fire was.
At the moment, it was kind of like, this is kind of cool. And then we realized how bad it was getting, and then it was actually pretty worrying. And
officials say the fire was human caused. Evacuation orders were lifted later, but Jacob hopes this whole situation reminds people to be careful.
It can turn so quickly from being something that you're totally in control of. Hey, look at that. We got our power back. Hey, good timing.
I'm Maithili Gubi reporting, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And we spoke with one of the owners at the Tyler Inn at Zion in Rockville about what she and her guests have been seeing.
And it's hot, so I'm trying to stay in the cool shade in my house as much as I can. Right. Just trying to keep the blinds closed and trying to keep the heat out.
She went on to say that the community has really rallied together to update one another and help first responders. And what a day it's been. Meteorologist Dan Pope joins us with Utah's Weather Authority. It's a hot and dry day for portions of the state. Then we also had some storms here up north, but we'll go ahead and start with our conditions in southern Utah, Dan.
Boy, southern Utah is just really dry, and it is hot. Just a little while ago, it was 101. We've dropped to 98 degrees at the top of the hour. The humidity is 6% right now. It's been as low as 4 or 5%, and that's very, very dry. Even though we've had a couple of wet winters, the dry and the hot are all combining to give us what we would have to call some very dangerous conditions for fire activity, especially in the lower, drier, hotter areas across the southern part of the state. It's 69 in Bryce Canyon, though. Here in the capital city, it's 78. Earlier today, take a look at this. Near Fillmore, a haboob, literally. This is the wind kicking up and blowing the dust across Interstate 15, heading north. We had these dark, ominous clouds here in the Salt Lake Valley, some cumulonimbus in there, and also some rain that was falling, lightning and thunder. Right now up at Alta, you can see the snow is starting to melt. In fact, it's melting very quickly, and some showers on our mountain cameras still coming in from the west. We've had some rainbows today, some double rainbows a little earlier from our Natural History Museum camera. But here's where most of the thunderstorm activity is, and a lot of it is diminishing now. We are missing the data from our Doppler radar site here in Salt Lake City, so we're trying to do the coverage with all of the radars around us. But earlier we had a lot of lightning and some thunder. Here's that light rain coming into the west side of the Salt Lake Valley. Heavier showers are out to the west, out by the Salt Lake, out by the Wendover, West Wendover area. 78 Salt Lake, 77 in Ogden, 75 in Provo. The winds are fairly light here in the north. Allison.
Thanks, Dan. Well, we are now at an emergency level 1 alert for high flows coming out of Deer Creek Dam. The Utah County Sheriff's Office says river flows downstream have increased, and there may be minor flooding along the Provo River over the next few days. Fox 13 News reporter Jenna Bree has a message from one man about being safe around dangerous water.
He did not quit until there was nothing left. He was incredibly brave.
It's been 7 years, since Troy Thane's son Sean jumped into the Provo River trying to save a young girl and her mother.
If you can imagine your son being thrashed about for 3 miles before being pulled out of the water.
Since then, Troy says he has relived the trauma of the day countless times, imagining every scenario that could have kept Sean alive.
The Coast Guard, they have a motto. It's reach, row, throw, don't go. And in white water especially, you don't.
Many Utah County residents who frequent Bridalveil Falls understand the water's danger this time of year.
Kids are just having fun, but you know, we have tragedies every year where people don't watch their kids close enough, so I think it's best just to stay away.
For the last few years, Troy has been working on a documentary to honor his son's bravery and give peace to surviving family members like himself.
I couldn't sleep at night. I kept thinking, what if I would have not said, look this way? What if we would have been 5 minutes later? What if? And so I want the documentary to let people know that they're not to blame, because in reality we have no control over destiny. It's like a river, it just runs its course.
In Provo, Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
We have an update to breaking news that we brought you during the 5 o'clock newscast. One man is dead after a crash with another vehicle on I-215 at 3100 South in Salt Lake County. The crash did shut down several lanes of the interstate for several hours. The victim is not being identified yet until his family has been notified. The Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, or RECA, is set to expire on Monday. Advocates and those impacted or downwinders are calling on House Speaker Mike Johnson to allow a vote on the RECA Authorization Act before the deadline. The bill was passed by the U.S. Senate in March. Today we spoke with the program director for the Downwinders Clinic in St. George about how much of a negative impact this would have if RECA does expire.
For it to not be continued, they feel it is quite an insult to them and the exposure that they and their families got back in the 50s and 62. Through no fault of their own, only to have the bad luck of being in the wrong place at the wrong time in the nation's history, you know.
The bipartisan Senate bill would extend the program for 6 years, expand the program to cover people who have been excluded previously, and also increase compensation provided. The two Utahns accused of being involved in a coup attempt in the Congo last month appeared in court today. 21-year-olds Tyler Thompson and Marcel Malonga were football teammates at Copper Hills High School. Malonga's father, Christian Malonga, led the botched coup attempt in which 6 people were killed, including himself. Thompson's family says he thought that he was going on an all-expenses-paid vacation with the Malongas to South Africa. Meanwhile, other former teammates accused Marcel of offering up to $100,000 to join him on a security job in Congo. Thompson's family says they were happy to see him in court today, as they previously had no proof that he was still alive. The FBI has published its case file from the 2021 murder of Gabby Petito by her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie. 366 pages describe how the FBI attempted to track Petito and Laundrie's path across the country using credit card data and security camera footage from stores and gas stations. Agents filed reports from Idaho, Tennessee, Georgia, and Florida, among other places. And in Corinne, Utah, a gas station attendant told a deputy that a young woman with the same "Let It Be" tattoo as Petito could be heard crying in the bathroom there. And that was on August 27th, 2021, the last day there were any sightings of Petito. Her body was later found in northeast Wyoming. Laundrie died by suicide in Florida. We're learning more about a fire that caught a lot of evening commuters' attention last night in West Valley City. hear from the business owners. Plus, we have details on the state's potential plan to build what could become the largest homeless shelter here in Utah.
The games have already started for Special Olympic athletes, but tonight is the big opening ceremonies and dance party.
Yeah, and coming up, we'll talk to some of the Special Olympians, and they'll tell us why this event is so important to them.
And with hockey invading Utah, this year's Stanley Cup is up for grabs. A Panthers-Oilers preview.
In southern Utah, Cedar City has a new transload site which provides trucks and rail cars and on-site storage for shippers with direct access to the Union Pacific Railroad. This is a new addition to part of the Iron Springs Inland Port Project area. The transportation company Savage, which organized this project, vowed to keep the community top of mind.
We commit to that, and we promise you, all of you who are here local, that we will be good stewards and we will take safety seriously, we'll take the environment seriously.
This new facility has 70 rail car spots and can handle hazardous materials and food. In travel news, you can now get between Provo and Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport a bit quicker. Breeze Airways has launched that flight today. The nonstop service operates Friday and Monday in both directions. Provo Airport has added several new destinations recently as they just finished a big expansion last fall. And take a look at this. More new additions to Utah's Hogle Zoo. Babs, the snow leopard, gave birth to 2 cubs on Tuesday. The zoo says they're all doing well and will be kept away from guests for now as they're adapting. Babs is a first-time mom and was paired with dad Chim as part of the snow leopard species survival plan. And it seems to be the baby season right now at Hogle Zoo. A gorilla was born there last week. And also locally, a sweet story at the Special Olympics Utah as that kicked off tonight. 2 athletes are having a night that they'll always remember, and it's not because of a game.
Help me through bad times, good times. And I have one thing to ask you. Are you ready? Yes.
At the Weaver State Wildcats!
Let's go!
Aww, that's so sweet. Congratulations to them. Anchors Kelly Chapman and Jeff Rainier were emceeing the event, and they got to see the fun from the torch run this morning to the sporting events this afternoon. And then obviously, Dan, one of the main highlights, an engagement. So congratulations to the couple that's in love. That was exciting to see.
Yeah.
And what a day here across Utah. We had it all going on. You're saying rainbows, we had dust storms, we had thunderstorms, we had severe thunderstorms, fires.
It's all happening.
It's all happening. Extreme heat.
Well, all it takes is a little bit of heat and the water's running. We've had the story of the high running water. So it's all happening right now, just as we head into that first week of June, first really the meteorological summer. Here's what our winds look like. We've been looking at what the fire might be doing there in southern Utah. Right now the winds aren't too bad, but we still have some gusts across west central Utah and across northwest Utah. These are associated with the thunderstorms that rolled through the area. But earlier today, Chris Williams was up on the Mirror Lake Highway with his drone, and it is officially open as of 8 a.m. this morning. You can go all the way across from Camas Valley to Evanston, which is great news. All right, just wanted to mention that. Here's where the thunderstorms are. They're grouping across central Utah. They're losing their intensity. The sunshine today was so hot it just boiled the thunderstorms up. Southern Utah, or at least we're not dealing with too much in the way of thunderstorm activity, although this little line here may bring a wind gust like we were showing you across the fire area. Could give a wind shift to the region. We'll have to keep an eye on that. A lot of lightning with these thunderstorms earlier, but once we lost the sunshine, really the driving mechanism for all of these thunderstorms, and they were rolling across parts of the Uinta Basin. It's still raining a little bit around Vernal and Naples and over into Roosevelt. These thunderstorms that were hitting Elko and Ruby Mountains and the Ruby Valley and across Wells and the Pequops, those are still holding together. A little bit of rain there in Windover and some rain right now along the Wasatch Front here in Salt Lake City, some light rain. Temperature is at 78 degrees. It's a mild night tonight. St. George, 98 degrees, but high temperatures today were way up there. Because of this warmth, that snow melt that we showed you up there on the Mirror Lake Highway, we've got the flood moving down the upper part of the Weber River. So flood watch in effect there. Right now, 78 in Salt Lake City. Wind is north at 8. There's some light rain in the valley across the western and southern side. St. George, though, skies are mostly clear. It's 98 degrees, but 6% is the humidity. So we'll see these little thunderstorms pop up again tomorrow. You can see them. They'll mainly stay north of St. George, but another problem that may persist would be anywhere some dry lightning hits in those lower elevations where it's hot. Once we get through tomorrow and we move into Sunday, these isolated showers will move a little bit farther north, still a slight chance on the backside of the Wasatch. Once we head into Monday and Tuesday, we're looking at much drier westerly flow and once again some hotter temperatures. We're watching this upper low right here that'll drag up some tropical moisture on Friday and bring us a chance for some showers nearly statewide Friday and some slightly cooler temperatures. But it is definitely going to be a hot week. There's no getting around that. Temperatures will be in the low 90s, low 100s. Very, very hot weather across the state for tomorrow. In the next 3 days along the Wasatch Front, 90, 94, and then 89 on Monday as we cool just a touch. St. George, 103 to a 101, then 99. We're looking at hot weather to 105 on Thursday, and then a slight chance for Friday and a thunderstorm pop up here or there. For Monday, 89, 92, 95, 96, and then a little cooler on Friday as we hopefully will see a little bit of relief from the heat, but we're definitely in a hot spell right now.
In national news, a former Apollo 8 astronaut who took this iconic Earthrise photo, which you can see right here, has died in a plane crash in Washington state today. This is video of the crash. Retired Major General William Enders was killed when that plane that he was piloting plummeted into the waters off of the San Juan Islands. He was the only person on board that plane. He was 90 years old. The FAA is now investigating. The prosecution has arrested their case against Hunter Biden on federal gun charges. Now the defense is still deciding whether or not to call Hunter to the stand. The daughter of Hunter Biden says when she took the stand today in his defense that she had visited her father and he seemed to be improving in the weeks before Biden bought the gun, which is at the heart of this case. Hunter Biden has been at a rehab facility in California, and his daughter says that he seemed to be doing great. The defense also called a gun store clerk to the stand to testify about inconsistencies with the application to buy the revolver. That trial will resume on Monday. Right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones is seeking a court's permission to liquidate his assets to be able to pay the families of Sandy Hook victims. The families sued Jones for defamation and emotional distress. He owes them more than $1.5 billion for publicly insisting that the Sandy Hook massacre was a hoax. So far, though, Jones has not paid them anything. This liquidation is supposed to be part of a Chapter 7 bankruptcy proceeding involving Jones' personal assets. It does mean that Jones will lose control of his media company, InfoWars. That company is also facing bankruptcy. We're getting more information about the financial disclosures of Supreme Court justices. Justice Clarence Thomas has belatedly acknowledged taking more trips paid for by Republican megadonor Harlan Crow. The trip includes a hotel room in Bali, as well as food and lodging in Sonoma County in California. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, meanwhile, reported nearly $900,000 advance for her upcoming memoir and 4 tickets to see a Beyonce concert. Justice Brett Kavanaugh also reported being paid $340,000 in book royalties for a book that's not yet published.
4 businesses are a total loss after a fire broke out in a strip mall in West Valley Thursday night. One of the business owners affected shares how this will impact her family.
The state is looking at creating the largest homeless shelter in Utah. I've got the details coming up.
Why aren't you a race car driver? Is it that $100,000 it takes to get started? We can help you with that.
And could Utah's new professional lacrosse team, the Utah Archers, win another one?
Some business owners at a strip mall in West Valley are trying to figure out what's next after 4 businesses were deemed a total loss following a 3-alarm fire that broke out Thursday night. One business owner tells Fox 13 News reporter Darian DeBrule their business is the family's only source of income.
Victoria Leo was supposed to be spending her Friday preparing her favorite Peruvian dishes for the lunch and dinner rush.
We started this, Jose, Ricardo, on top of a lot of hard work and sacrifice. We started this business.
Instead, she, her family, and small staff set up a canopy as they waited outside in the heat for answers. That fire Thursday night forced her restaurant, Vicky's Peruvian, to close.
I called all the co-workers and we evacuated and told everyone to get out because it was not safe. Workers left IDs, passports, wallets, purses, cell phones. They were all left behind.
You can see the extensive damage the fire caused to the strip mall. West Valley City Fire Chief John Evans tells me 4 businesses are a total loss, including Vicky's.
There's 4 businesses with the roof collapsed in. One business next to him, there's heavy water damage.
This is my everyday job, and now myself, my family, and my employees will be without a job, and we don't know when they will return, and we are so sad about the situation.
Crews battled the blaze and the heat for hours Thursday night into Friday morning. Chief Evans says one firefighter hurt his shoulder, but has since been released from the hospital.
It was hot. That's why we had as many apparatus and people here. You got to rotate them out.
Investigators are still trying to figure out what started the fire as they wait to get into the roof. They estimate the damage will run somewhere between $1.5 and $2 million. For Victoria, she's holding back tears, thinking about the years of hard work and memories now burned.
We will continue to fight every day for our business.
In West Valley, Darian DeBrule, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The Utah Eagle Forum is endorsing Phil Lyman in the upcoming primary in the governor's race. The social conservative group says that Lyman is, quote, a true conservative leader, and also backed his lieutenant governor pick, Natalie Clausen, for her work on Secure Vote. Secure Vote Utah was a citizen ballot initiative that sought away with vote by mail in favor of in-person paper ballots. It did not advance after organizers were unable to gather enough signatures. Utah's Department of Corrections has obtained drugs necessary to carry out a lethal injection execution. Tabaron Honey will be in court on Monday when the state will seek a death warrant to have him executed for the 1998 murder of his girlfriend's mother, Claudia Ben. The state is also seeking to execute Ralph Leroy Menzies for the 1986 murder of Maureen Hunsaker. The DOC says that they will use ketamine, fentanyl, and potassium chloride. Ketamine serves as an anesthetic, fentanyl to relieve pain, and potassium chloride stops your heart. Legal challenges are expected. As Utah deals with a surge in homelessness, a new plan is being considered. Fox 13 News has learned that the state is exploring building an entire campus with an 800-bed shelter and other services. If that happens, it would be the largest homeless shelter here in Utah. Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow has more.
On a hot summer day, here on North Temple,
so you guys can take as much water as you want.
Wendy Garvin is handing out ice.
4 too many? No, take what you need.
Bottles of water and cereal bars.
2 each.
To people living on the streets.
Thank you so much. You're amazing.
She's with Unsheltered Utah, a group that helps people experiencing homelessness.
We're just trying to prevent deaths from heat stroke and dehydration.
Would you like a cup with some water?
Garvin says the number of people on the streets keeps increasing.
We're seeing a rapid increase of people on the street, despite the fact that there are more beds in the shelters.
We have a need for about 800 to 1,000 additional beds.
Wayne Niederhauser, the state's homelessness coordinator, is considering a massive new shelter. He's been scouting locations, but won't say where he's looking.
We're going to need probably at least 20 acres.
The Utah State Legislature is funding $25 million for a new shelter. A campus setting would be a big departure from the smaller shelter formats we've had.
You would have other types of facilities on that campus, services like step-down facilities for mental health and addiction services. We think that having those in one location would be more economical and also just more conducive with what we need for a large number of of people that would be in shelter.
Cities Fox 13 News contacted were unaware of the idea or if it's coming to their community. Salt Lake City says there's a tremendous need for housing and shelter services, and they're supportive of additional sites.
About drugs.
Governor Spencer Cox has pushed for more funding for housing and homelessness. Asked about the big new shelter, the governor tells me,
There are not plans currently, but there are plans for additional beds, and we're working on what that will look like.
A large shelter is a tough sell to the community, but my plea to all of you watching this is, if we don't build a shelter, all of these folks are going to be living in your back alleys and in your backyards, and that's not good for them, and it's not good for us.
if you're interested in helping unsheltered Utah's efforts, it costs about $75 a day for them to supply as much water as they do during this heat wave. We've got a link for information on volunteer opportunities as well as ways to donate at fox13now.com. In Salt Lake City, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Coming up, have you ever wanted to participate in a demolition derby? Well, you can do that this weekend, sort of. We'll explain when we come back. Welcome back on this Friday night. If you'll indulge me for just a second, there is a fireworks show happening live behind me somewhere in Salt Lake City. So I wanted to share that with you on this Friday evening. We also have a fun story ahead. Many of us have an inner race car driver, and it gets some of us traffic tickets. But as Fox 13 News reporter Brian Champagne explains, for just a few $100, you can take those urges out on a track.
I'd say it's a gentleman's sport. We all have a special respect for each other.
These gentlemen and ladies are running trash car racing. This footage is from 22. The season is just starting this year. It's not demolition derby, it's racing with contact.
Outdrive, outmaneuver, and outlast the other drivers.
So who does this?
I started doing it for my mental health. I got in a wreck on the freeway, and I noticed on my way home I was skipping past that spot every day on the way home, and I was like, well, that's not healthy. So what better way to fix it than to crash on purpose?
Best sport I've ever done.
Colin Curtis started with this car.
My wife got this for me for Father's Day a couple of years ago, and it's the best thing she has ever given me as far as a gift goes.
And then he moved up to this.
Once you do it once, you can't not do it again. It's like trying to eat one potato chip.
I've always wanted to race NASCAR, and this is the closest thing I can get.
We have people on our team that used to be car salesmen, from mechanics to someone that works in a science building.
I helped build them when I was 8, and now I'm 14. I've been wanting to drive forever.
And now he can with a class for drivers aged 13 to 15. Here's your technical guide to building your own trash car. Start with a running beater, add a roll bar, driver's side door protection, upgrade the seat belts, and tear out the interior. Now you are a race car driver. The promoter says they do all they can to keep costs down, like a couple $100 gets you on the track.
Most of the time, a salvage company will just sponsor you a car, and when you're done with it, you just bring it back in for salvage.
Brian Champagne.
Yes, it's very redneck.
Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, trash car racing is at the Cache County Fairgrounds tomorrow night. For more information, you can go to fox13now.com.
Well, it may be hot on those racetracks, but it was hot today across the state. 84 in Salt Lake, 90s, and 105 in St. George. Hot stuff. More on the way, or will it cool down? I'll have the forecast.
And later in sports, it's time to start looking ahead to the Stanley Cup Finals. All as hockey preps for its future here in Utah. Plus, local flavor just about wherever you look when Utah Royals FC entertains the Washington Spirit tomorrow night. Hear from one of those Utah natives in a bit.
Today, the Utah Chinese Association hosted a Chinese history exhibition and presentation at the South Salt Lake Community Center. The presentation covered the rich history of Chinese Americans here in Utah, with people arriving in Utah as early as the 1860s, and shared the richness of historic Park City, Chinatown.
Prior to the Republic of China with Sun Yat-sen, China in and of itself was in a sort of feudal form. Essentially, there was the domination of an imperial class, and Sun Yat-sen recognized this issue, and essentially he came to Utah to garner support among local Chinese Americans as well as regular Americans in making China a modern state that was helpful to its citizens.
People who attended got much more than a history lesson. There was free tea, dumplings, and some snacks. In Ogden, hundreds gathered on historic 25th Street for this 22nd annual car show. Over 350 cars were showcased, each from all different times and different shapes and sizes.
We have classic cars, we have new vehicles, modifications, all sorts of things. Just out here really celebrating the culture and bringing people together here on 25th Street.
Visitors were able to vote for their favorite cars, and the number one at the end of the night wins the People's Choice Award and bragging rights. You can scan the QR code on your screen to see what else is going on across the state this weekend. Highlights include the Utah Asian Festival, a board game convention, and an astronomy festival, and so much more. You can go ahead, just take your camera, point it to your screen, and it will send you to the link with all of that. Because weather's kind of hit or miss this weekend, as I understand. We've got Utah's Weather Authority meteorologist Dan Pope here in the house to tell us.
With the very talented Allison Krogan here at the anchor desk.
Between the two of us, we know a thing or two about what to expect this weekend weather-wise. And man, the indoor activities sound like a great idea. And then tomorrow morning seems really nice.
Yes, there's just a little bit of rain coming through right now. In fact, it's pitter-pattering on the rooftops of southern Salt Lake Valley.
It's nice to fall asleep to that.
Yeah,
you know?
But not perfect in southern Utah. It's very hot, so we are dealing with that. But I want to show you what it looked like. And you saw this probably earlier. Take a look at this thunderstorm. Crazy, I call it crazy dark clouds. Yes. Scott Taylor, yes, he's our friend who always sends in these pictures. It was like really coming down, lightning, thunder, and these cumulomodus clouds right there, just covering the sky. And then as, let's see, it was Gage Lewis. Now Gage was coming up I-15. He says, oh my goodness, there's a haboob headed my way. There's dust out on the West Desert just getting blown right across Interstate 15 as he's heading. Oh my goodness, crazy weather. Highs today, 94 in Salt Lake City, 92 in Vernal before a little rain moved through Ashley Valley. 105 though in St. George. We're really getting into that extremely hot range, and because of the angle of the sun, we are in the 11 for the UV index, even higher than that briefly, because you see these clouds will develop and then the sun will bounce off those clouds, and briefly it can go above 11. So you can get a sunburn in 15, 20 minutes. So you want to make sure you're wearing the hat, sunglasses, sunscreen, find shade, and limit your outside activities, especially in that hottest part of the day. And we have another heat advisory and also excessive heat watch for the lower areas of southern Utah. It's just crazy. Now we have also, because of the very wet weather, there's these flood watches right here along the upper part of the Weber River. And speaking of the Weber River area, it's still snowy up on top of Mirror Lake Highway, but it's open. And it's open from all the way, starting at 8 a.m. this morning, all the way from Camas over to Evanston. So these thunder showers that did develop across the Uinta Basin, some produced some lightning and thunder, had a little bit of rain over parts of northern Utah along the Idaho border. Tonight we're seeing some pitter-pattering of light rain coming through the Salt Lake Valley, especially right now, even in southern Davis County. We're seeing just enough rain probably to mess up a good car wash. There's another line of showers still holding together coming into the West Desert. That could push over Salt Lake City overnight. So high temperatures today. We're hot, but it's still warm tonight. We're still 98 in St. George at this hour, and you can see the light rain. Take a look at that. A little bit of light rain falling off in the distance. 78 in Salt Lake City right now. St. George is 98, 6% is the humidity. So tomorrow temperatures 90, so a little bit cooler in Salt Lake, 103 in St. George. That's hot. It'll be a little bit cooler in the next couple of days, but the heat will rebound, and we're back up to 104, 105 later in the week. Slight chance for a thunderstorm Friday. 90, 94, and then 89. We get a little cool down on Monday, and then things sort of heat up a little bit later in the week as temperatures roll back up into the, all of a sudden things are just going all over the place. I'll just say it's going to be back up to 95 before a slight chance of thunderstorms late in the week.
Utah's new pro lacrosse team, the Utah Archers, underwent game number 2 tonight, facing Denver and Charlotte, firing up 4-1 to start. Connor Fields having a Fields day. Trey LeClaire finding the net multiple times in the opening quarter as well, right down the middle. 7-1 Archers. Utah with a big third. What a length of field pass from the goalie, Brett Dobson, and tough angle from Fields. But here come the Outlaws, outscoring Utah 10-3 in the fourth. Brennan O'Neill, a game-high 9 points, forcing overtime, and there must have been something about that side. There he is again for the win. Tough first loss for the Archers, 18-17. With the U.S. Open looming next week, Tony Finau has one final tune-up. Finau looking pretty solid so far at Jack Nicklaus's baby, the Memorial Tournament. Here's Muirfield Village in Dublin, Ohio. The kid from Rose Park had a couple downer moments, but for the most part steady, bends in beautifully at 3. For one of his 8 birdies Friday, Finau sits in 7th at -3 in a tie with this guy, Xander Schauffele, out of the trap off the pole. Wait for it. Oh, boom. But the leader at the midway point, who else? Scotty Scheffler, searching for only his 5th win since early March. He leads by 3 strokes at -9. Wouldn't it be something if this time next year I got to declare that the Utah Yeti, or go ahead and plug in whatever name you like, advanced to the Stanley Cup Final? If you're a doubter, just give me a second to dream, please. In the meanwhile, the last best of 7 without a club titled Utah in the National Hockey League begins tomorrow in Miami. Over 3,000 miles separating the Florida Panthers from the Edmonton Oilers, each vying for the Cup.
Unbelievable ride so far with the support we've been getting from the fans and from the community, and just to come to the rink every single day. It's been fun.
Excited to get the madness all over with. You know, obviously today is a busy day for everybody, but you know, once it's over with, it's just going to be hockey. And I love sports, seen lots of these days, and I've always wanted to be a part of one. So special to be here now.
A host of players with Utah ties will be on the pitch tomorrow night at America First Field, including the return of Ashley Hatch for the Washington Spirit. 9 players total representing either BYU, Utah, UVU, and several different high schools along the Wasatch Front. Royals forward Brecken Mozingo prepped at Alta before ending her collegiate run in Provo and says she's still trying to adjust to the pro game.
I feel like just my comfort level, confidence in myself, realizing that I can play with these girls. The game is not as fast as I'm making it inside my head, but it's really just soccer. It's 1- and 2-touch play, connect your pass, try to get those shots on frame. All that stuff plays the team.
The Bees losing 4-2, 4-2, and 4-3 this week to start their home set against Sugar Land. Let's just say game 4 tonight. Even worse, Cooper Hummel, 3-run shot to left for the Space Cowboys. 5 runs and 3 home runs altogether in the third. The last one going same direction off the bat of Shea Whitcomb. 7-1 the final at Smiths. And crazy interleague finish in the Bigs. No runs for either the Dodgers or the Yankees till the 11th. Teoscar Hernandez doubles home both Freddie Freeman and Shohei Ohtani. New York, winners of their last 8, did get one back bottom half before Anthony Rizzo pops out to end it. The Pinstripes still have the best record in baseball at 45-20. We'll be right back.
And finally tonight, today was National Donut Day. Did you guys know that?
I had absolutely no idea.
I didn't know, and I would have loved to have participated. Some of Utah's finest are sharing their love of the pastry, so we wanted to shout out both the Weber County Sheriff's Office and Arroyo City Police Departments. They both shared pictures on social media showing them celebrating.
Yeah, they need
today.
to give us a heads up on that.
Yeah.
Give me a week's notice on the donut day.
Donut a day is good for play.
Thanks for watching Fox 13 News at 9. Quickcast is up next.